Let's talk about the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. A bombshell story about this morning. An update in the wake of the Maxwell conviction. Turns out that one of the jurors may open up the door for a conviction for her conviction to be overturned. So what's this all about? Well, interestingly, turns out one of the jurors may open the door for the conviction to be overturned and a new trial to be had. So what exactly is going on here? Well, late last night, lawyers for Ghislaine Maxwell asked a federal judge to give her a new trial because they say a juror was sharing his experience as a sexual abuse victim during the jury deliberations. So, what's this all about? Well, it's interesting here. What happened is this 35-year-old man who is a juror, and during the deliberations, he talked about his experience as a sexual abuse victim when he was younger. And he said that there were two jurors specifically who were having because you recall the defense. Remember, the defense was basically trying to say that all of these victims, that they just had cloudy memories. They weren't really abused. They couldn't possibly have remembered that Ghislaine Maxwell was involved in this, that they just had cloudy memories. I'm sorry, but when something tragic or awful happens in your life, we all remember it, right? It's pretty much like a stamp on your brain, right? And this juror has done some media. This juror has now done some media appearances where he talked about during the jury deliberations, he was able to recall in vivid detail what happened to him as a young man. And he says that some of the jurors had their minds swayed because he was able to say, no, I remember exactly what happened to me. These women who are up there talking aren't just making this up, and they don't have foggy memories. But interestingly, now one of the key points here is that on the jury questionnaire that he had to fill out ahead of time, they specifically asked the question as to whether or not they had sustained sexual abuse at some point in their life. And he would have had to have marked yes or no on that questionnaire. So he was asked in an interview about it, whether or not he answered yes to that question on the questionnaire. And he said he couldn't remember because he went through the questionnaire very quickly. Because here's the thing, and I was on a high-profile jury trial at one point in Orlando, Florida. And you don't want to be there, right? Who wants to sit on jury duty? And by the way, you do not know which trial you're going to be picked for, especially in New York. Like, you go in and you have no idea. Are you going to be put on this particular jury for you're there and you could be on any one of 20 different trials. You have no idea. And so filling out this questionnaire, you're just like, I don't even want to be here, you know. But he says if he did see that question, he would have absolutely answered it honestly because it's an important part of his history. So now what happens? Well, you know that the defense lawyers are appealing the verdict, and they're going to try to get a new trial or trying to appeal this. And while a judge will look at a jury's, it's very unlikely that they would overturn a jury decision, right? However, they do take it seriously if there is something involving jury deliberations, which may go towards this appeal process and may actually aid the defense in this. So we could be going through a whole nother Ghislaine Maxwell trial because of this one juror. Can you believe that?
That's why this whole system is so completely screwed. It's like the only reason that questionnaire is there is so they can stack the jury in their favor. Like it just gives them little upper hands to stack a jury in their favor. You know the whole process is completely screwed.
You know, on the jury, I don't know. Have you ever had to do jury duty?
No, I was called in to do it one time and I didn't show up. But I didn't live in that state anymore. I couldn't have showed up. Yeah. Well, for me, I had to do it because I lived there. I had no excuse. And so, but the thing they ask you, which is, it's interesting, is they ask you, they asked me on the jury thing, like, hey, do you work in the media? Are you a member of the media or anything like that? And I was a news anchor, and so because of that, I wrote down that information. I said, yes, I was. I'm a jury, and they actually came back to me later and said, we thought that was the reason we chose you is because we felt like you would be more forthright, you'd be more honest. So we chose you because of the fact that you were a news anchor. Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
That was interesting. Anyway, yeah, so we could be seeing a whole new trial here. So, I mean, I guess anybody who thought that she was going to get the rest of her life in prison, it's, watch the system now. Just keep an eye on the system. That's how it goes. We got more news to get to here on the show. We're going to go ahead.
Pina Colada said, well, David, that's the point. Yeah, the point is to kind of keep it, so that they can stack it and get the outcomes that they want.
Yeah, that's how they play.